Hi, so my name is Brandon, and this is how to change strings on a Breedlove acoustic, because they're just a little bit different than a traditional acoustic. So, here we go. First off, before I really get going, a couple tools that you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to want a pack of strings. I use Ernie Ball aluminum bronze. Some tools that might be pretty helpful for you. Stuff I always use when I'm changing strings are string winder, saves you a bunch of time because you don't have to hand crank the strings yourself. Got some just wire clippers. A lot of places sell these in a combined set called a Pro Winder by Planet Waves. Really great tool to have. And then lastly is a bottle of fretboard conditioner. I use the Dr. Duck's Axe Wax. The idea is basically it conditions your fretboard and any unfinished wood, so I use it on my fretboard, my bridge, and the top of my guitar, and it brings out this nice kind of shine to it. I'll show you what it means. So basically that's what the guitar looks like. Right now maybe you won't be able to see it on the video, but we'll see. And then with this, you're going to want some sort of microfiber cloth. I just use Jim Dunlop's cloth. But yeah, let's get rolling. First, what you're going to want to do is take off all the tension of your strings so that they obviously are not going to snap at you. So I use one of these because it saves a bunch of time. You just make it so they're all floppy. Alright, so now there's not really any tone coming from the string because there is no tension on them. So then what I use is basically my wire cutters and just snip them above the sound hole. And so now I've got two strings in different parts. I got some on the bridge side and some on the neck side here. So basically I'm going to start with the neck side. So I'm just going to take them and uncoil them all. So that way they're all off. Secondly, I've got the bridge side. Now, if you didn't already know, I mean, the reason I'm doing this video mainly is because Breedlove guitar bridges are typically pinless. So with these things, you can pretty much just push and pull, and the strings will come right out, and little string ball ends. But that's the main reason I'm doing this video, because they can be a little on the trickier side. Basically, so I got all of my ends now. Next is when I use the fretboard conditioner. So basically all I do is I've got it split up into kind of the clean half and then kind of a messier half idea here. The idea basically is with the fretboard conditioner, just open it up and you just put a drop or two on across the neck. So I do like a drop every 3 frets or so. And I take part of my cloth and I just rub it in there. And basically what this does, with most acoustic guitars, it's going to be a rosewood or an ebony fretboard. And rosewood, particularly rosewood, I've noticed, is extremely susceptible to shrinking when the weather changes. I mean, it's bright. I'm in Oregon, and it's dropped, well, quite a reasonable amount in the recent weeks, just because of winter time and all that. So it's important to make sure that everything is hydrated and humidified, and so that way nothing shrinks or cracks. Because on acoustic guitars, if your fretboard shrinks, you can get sharp frets and it can crack, and that's just a bunch of not fun stuff nobody wants to deal with. But basically, you get a little bit of shine in there. Probably you can't see that, but and then do the same kind of thing. I put a drop or so on the corner of my bridges, and then I take out my saddle, because the saddle only goes in one way. So if it's set up properly, then you don't need to worry about it messing up putting it back in. But doing that, and you just let it sit for a little bit after you rub it in, and I just put a little bit on the top of my guitar as well. And you can just give it a nice little rub in there. It brings out kind of a nice shine in them, especially, okay, so one thing important to mention, that if you have a gloss finish on your Breedlove guitar, do not put a fretboard conditioner of any type on it, because the gloss is not made to be shined or to be conditioned. It's not an untreated wood. It's obviously treated because it's got a gloss finish on it. So the idea is, I only have a matte finish on this guitar, so that's why I do that, because it helps condition it as well, and it's a solid top guitar, laminate back and sides, so I'm not terribly concerned about the sides. The sides shouldn't go anywhere. But basically, just take the clean half of the rag after that, and you just rub it and get a lot of the excess off. Same with on the fretboard. And then, I don't know if you can tell a difference, but there's definitely amount of on my end. You can definitely see a lot more shine on the guitar. Take your saddle, and one thing this stuff is really great for is lubrication. So basically what you do is you can take your saddle in your hand and just rub it through the application part of the rag, and it'll give you a nice lubricated saddle. Remember, with compensated saddles, they have the little dip in here, and so they only go in one way, or they're supposed to only go in one way, especially if your guitar's been properly set up, so you're golden. So it just pops right back in there, a little groove, and then you're ready to restring. So the thing that really helps is on your tuning machine heads, you want to make sure that the holes going perpendicular to the neck. Just want to make sure that all of them are going up and down, basically. I'm going to keep doing that. It'll definitely make this a little bit faster, because restringing is really not that hard. I mean, I'm talking to you and I'm only at 10 minutes. Okay. So, depending on the strings, when you open them up, they're going to let you know what strings are what. With Ernie Ball strings, they're all numbered, 54 to 12s. And so obviously, if you didn't know, 12 is not really any, it means 12 thousandths of an inch, so it's 0.012. And then it continues on to like 0.016. It's 16s all the way up to 54s, which are 0.054. But yeah, it's pretty straight. It doesn't really get too much more straightforward than that. Tricky part here is just in a little bit of technique things with a Breedlove guitar particularly. That'll definitely make your life a little bit easier. So I'm gonna start. I always go heavy to light on my strings. So I'll start with the 54, which is the 6th string, or the low E, and just basically unwind it. With a Breedlove guitar, since it's a pinless bridge, what really helps is if you take the end and you just give it a little bit of a bend, and just 2 little bends, so something like that. And that'll definitely help get it through the bridge. The idea, basically, so here, push it through, and it should pop up just like that. And now it's out. And I do that to make sure that it comes through, and with these pinless bridges, they can be kind of tricky. They can get like caught up into the saddle or into the groove, because the grooves are designed for them to go up, but they don't always, with them being a metal string, doesn't always want to go through. So little things that help. Secondly, when you're putting them through the string post, way to get it, make sure you have enough slack in your string, is to put your hand, your whole hand, thumb and all 4 fingers, under the string, touching the neck of your guitar, where the body meets the neck. So right at that neck joint. Okay? I'm kind of crooked, so you might not be able to see that properly, but right there, and then you pull down on the string, and that's how you guarantee you have enough slack. So what I do after that is with my left hand here, I give it a little twist, and that puts a little S curve in the string. So now it's like boop, bop, and that'll make sure that it's perfect, and it doesn't want to go anywhere. So I can give it a little tug. It's not moving. So that's ideally what you want. What you want to make sure of next is you break out the string winder again, and you just give it. This time it's counterclockwise. When you're taking the tension off, you're doing them all clockwise when they're facing you, obviously. So if you're doing the high 3 strings, you want to make sure you're technically moving counterclockwise, but if you were to face the strings, it's clockwise. So you just want to make sure you are giving them a good wind, and that they all fit through the nut post, and they are not like off of the saddle, which on an acoustic guitar it's a little hard to be off the saddle, but it happens. I've seen it happen. You want to keep winding until you have not necessarily the right note that you're looking for, but a note that when you strum it, it is clear and it doesn't buzz. That means you're in the right range, and the next time you see the proper note, you will be at the right one. Okay? So you want to just, I'm right there. So you want to continue the process. And remember to just bend your strings to get through the post. And I'm going to pause the video real quick so I can get this done, and so that you can too. So I'll be back in just a minute.